The objective here at Butter Chicken Podcast is to tell the stories of individuals making impact in culture and society.
Sid, tell us a little bit about where you come from culturally. We said, we know you're from the West Coast, but from back home, culturally, where do you come from, and how has that influenced what you're doing today?
I was born into a family of Indian classical musicians, South Indian classical music, Karnatic music. My mom's a musician, my grandfather was. And we moved to the Bay Area when I was like a year old. And as a way for, I think, my mom especially to kind of like hold on to her cultural roots, musical roots, she started a music school, a vocal music, Karnatic vocal music school in Fremont, California. And I just started picking it up by ear like when I was 2 and really imbibing the music on a subconscious level. And when I was around 3, she started teaching me. Both my parents just realized that I had this deep affinity for the musical form and, again, subconsciously, so they identified that. So my mom started teaching me. I performed for the first time when I was around 3 years old. For me, that music form was my anchor point in the process of exploring and understanding my identity as, at the time, an Indian kid growing up in Northern California suburb.
You've worked with AR
Yeah.
a tremendous amount,
Yeah.
which when I speak to many South Asian artists across all South Asian music genres, my question sometimes is, who would you want to work with? And like 50% of the people we talk to say AR.
Yeah.
And for you, that's like, I'm imagining the homie.
And I sent AR sir an email just with my music. A homie of mine was interning with him at the time.
Oh, so you had the plug on the direct
Yeah.
email.
And the dude just happened to be like the nicest guy. Like if it was anyone else, they'd be like, nah, bro, chill. But he was like a good dude.
Oh, your homie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, AR said he's the best. But
Right.
the homie was like a good homie, so he looked out. I sent the music over, no expectation of any response, and that's right.
And this was the borderline cheese stuff that you were saying you were doing.
No, this stuff was dope by then. Like
Okay.
I'd gone through the cheesy stuff, and it started becoming dope by then. Air Sir just won the Oscar for Slumdog. I remember being in my dorm just like losing my shit because like I never seen someone that looked even remotely like me on a stage like that. And then to take it even further, he's from the same city I was born in, speaks the same language, like it was. And he spoke Tamil when he won the award. He says, "Ella pugurum irevanake," which just means all praise to God. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, this is insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a moment for sure. And I sent him, I think like a week or 2 later, I sent him that email with some of my music. Probably like a week later, I was at home actually arguing with my folks because they're like, what are you going to do when you graduate? How are you going to make money? Like, what's your plan?
What's the plan, yeah.
And I go up, like during lunch, I go upstairs, open up the laptop, see the response, just like stare at my screen. He's like, you have a really nice voice. Do you sing in Tamil and Hindi? I'm like, oh shit.
Hell yeah, I do.
I responded immediately. And then I didn't hear from him for like a year.
That happens.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him for a while. And I was like, okay, maybe it was just like, and I still, every time I put something new out, I'd hit him with it. No response. And then it was
but
like
you keep
every time. Yeah, for sure. I was very persistent, of course. Yeah. And then 2011 December, I was in Chennai performing Karnatic concerts, and I got a call from his studio to come through. That's when I met him in person for the first time, and my first song with him came out in 2012.
If there's any more bars, gems, or just some strong words of wisdom that you could give to the youth, what would that be?
No matter what path you're on, whether it's the arts, whatever it is, nothing replaces working hard at all. No level of like hustling on the gram, making connections, which is important, but like master your craft, like as a first step. I think that's what we need, right? We need masters of their crafts. That's one. Then two, always check your premise and your intentions. Like, why are you doing something? You know what I mean? And study that. Don't be afraid to have those conversations with yourself, because that just leads to a deeper understanding of your purpose, That's the second thing. The third thing is something my mom told me, and she told me specifically about music. But music, she told me, is the universe. It's larger infinitely larger than any one individual. Never lose sight of that. So I would take that same kind of core concept and apply it to anything again. Like whatever it is you're working on, just know that you are a speck and you don't matter, but you also matter intensely. Melancholic views mixed with saturated stereotypes. Oh, melancholic views mixed with saturated stereotypes. Oh, melancholic views mixed with saturated stereotypes. This is the state of entropy, and all you could do is hold on.